The snow fell harder than anyone had expected that night, blanketing the city streets in a suffocating white. Jackson Reed, CEO of one of the country's fastest-growing tech companies, was late leaving the office, but not for his own comfort. He always drove carefully, his mind half on work, half on his 5-year-old son, Ethan, who was waiting at home with a bedtime story. But as he turned a corner, something caught his eye, a woman crouched by the curb, clutching a small bundle, her shoulders trembling not just from the cold but from raw, heartbreaking exhaustion. The sound of soft crying pierced the silence of the snowstorm. Without thinking, Jackson parked his car and approached her. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, his voice steady, though his chest tightened at the sight of her and the twin babies swaddled in thin blankets. She looked up, eyes red and desperate, barely meeting his gaze. I don't know what to do," she whispered. I've lost everything." Jackson didn't ask for details. He only knew one thing: no child, no human being, should face a storm alone. He wrapped the babies in his coat, gently lifting the woman to her feet. As he led them to the warmth of his car, he realized this encounter wasn't random. It felt like the universe had placed them in each other's paths, two people surviving, each carrying their own storms, about to learn that sometimes, kindness could be the strongest bridge to hope. Jackson drove slowly through the snow, the tires crunching on the frozen streets, his mind spinning with questions he didn't yet dare ask. The woman held the twins close, murmuring soft lullabies as if her voice alone could shield them from the storm. "Do you have somewhere to go?" he asked gently, stealing a glance at her face in the dim car light. She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No. I lost my apartment, my job, everything. I just wanted to keep them safe tonight." Her voice broke, and Jackson felt a pang in his chest, a mix of anger at the cruelty of life and a surge of protective instinct. He realized she wasn't asking for charity, she was asking, silently, for a chance to survive this night. And Jackson knew what it was to carry that weight. As a single dad, he had faced nights when the world seemed impossibly cruel, when he wanted to give up, but Ethan's smile had always pulled him through. Pulling into a quiet hotel with a 24-hour lobby, Jackson led her inside, blankets wrapped tightly around the babies. "You can stay here tonight," he said, offering a small, warm smile. "Tomorrow, we figure out the next step together." Her gratitude was palpable, but it was more than thanks. It was a fragile hope igniting in her eyes, the kind only someone who's lost everything could recognize. Jackson watched her settle the twins, feeling a strange, unexpected sense of purpose. In that moment, surrounded by snow and sorrow, he realized something profound. Sometimes, saving someone else could also save yourself. And tonight, kindness wasn't just an action, it was the beginning of healing for both of them. The next morning, the storm had eased, leaving the city glistening under a fragile sun. Jackson made coffee in the hotel lobby while the woman, whose name he had finally learned was Clara, fed the twins. He watched her carefully, noticing the quiet strength beneath her exhaustion, the resilience in the way she soothed her children despite her own pain. "I don't even know how to thank you," Clara whispered, her voice steady now, though her eyes shimmered with emotion. "You don't have to," Jackson replied, though something inside him stirred, a mix of admiration and something warmer, more human. "You've been through enough tonight." Just then, a phone rang at the reception. Clara answered, and Jackson caught fragments: insurance, fire, everything. Her hand trembled as she hung up. The apartment she had barely managed to keep had burned down in the storm. Everything she owned, gone. Jackson's chest tightened. He realized the depth of her struggle, the sheer weight she carried alone. And yet, here she was, holding her babies, refusing to crumble completely. Without a word, he stepped closer. "You're not alone anymore," he said firmly. "Let me help. Whatever you need, we'll figure it out. You've saved yourself and these little ones just by surviving. Now let me do my part." Clara looked at him, disbelief mingled with relief. In that small hotel room, amidst the echo of her heartbreak, something shifted. She finally allowed herself to breathe, to hope. The storm outside was still there, but inside, a light had sparked, a reminder that humanity, compassion, and selflessness could arrive when least expected, transforming despair into possibility. And for Jackson, seeing her hope rekindle was a reminder that sometimes, the most unexpected encounters were the ones that changed lives forever. Over the next few weeks, Jackson and Clara navigated the uncertain path together. He helped her find a small, warm apartment, and with his connections, she secured temporary work at a local clinic. The twins, now snug and thriving, brought a rhythm to their lives that neither of them expected but both quietly cherished. Jackson watched as Clara regained her confidence, her laughter slowly returning like sunlight after a long winter. She would often pause to look at her children, whispering encouragements, and Jackson couldn't help but admire her courage. She had faced devastation, yet refused to let it define her. One evening, as they walked along the quiet streets of the city, the twins bundled in a stroller, Clara turned to him. "You saved us," she said softly. "Not just from the storm, but from losing hope." Jackson shook his head, smiling gently. "You saved yourself. I just helped a little. But seeing you fight, it reminded me why I keep trying, for Ethan, for everyone I care about." In the warmth of that shared moment, they both understood a simple truth: humanity wasn't measured by wealth, status, or success, but by the small acts of kindness that could ripple into lives forever. Months later, when the first snow of the season fell, Jackson and Clara watched the twins play, tiny footprints etching patterns into the fresh white. The storm that had brought them together now felt like a distant memory, replaced by laughter, love, and the unshakable belief that even in the harshest winters, hope could bloom. And in that quiet, beautiful victory, Jackson realized the most powerful legacy he could leave wasn't in the empire he built, but in the lives he touched along the way.